This wood I got at a cabinet shop. Find a local cabinet shop in your area because they can help you. I went in and asked them if they had any sink cutouts. Now I use sink cutouts to make my platens, and they're real simple. They throw this stuff away, so you can either ask them and they'll give it to you, or you can go through their dumpster, whichever you want to do. But I got all the wood for this press right here free, and so can you. What you want to start out with is a base. Now with this tape, you should have got some plans on paper that will show you the dimensions of everything. But we're going to go over it right here. The base is 17.5 by 25 inches long. This whole thing should be heavy. Now this base looks thicker and it actually has two pieces of wood here. We start with one piece, and I actually added some boards on the bottom to lift it up a little bit. But you want it heavy. That's why you want to use particle board, 1-inch particle board, because the heavier the press, the better it stays on the table. Now, the only thing that you don't want to use particle board on is the platen arm. This is 1-inch plywood, and I got it from them too. The reason you don't want to use particle board is because you don't want this thing to flex and bow over time. Particle board, if you let it set, because this hangs out over by itself, supporting the platen, and over time it will bend and bow. So, 1-inch plywood. This arm is 25 inches long, same as the base, but it's only 6 inches wide. Then you'll need 3 of the back boards. The back boards are 7¼ wide by 17½ long. They go on the back of the press, just like that. There's 3 of those. Then of course, you'll need your platen. Like I said, this was a sink cutout, it's laminated. And your platen is a 15 by 18 inch platen. Round the edges, sand it down so it doesn't snag your shirt. And then you'll need 2 of these. These are the side boards to the arm. They are 5 3/4 by 7 1/4. You'll need 2 of those. Also, the only thing you'll probably have to buy is called a Jiffy clamp. Now these are homemade Jiffy clamps, but you can make them or buy them. Let me just show you what they're made of. A Jiffy clamp is a C-channel, and it has a clamp at the top that's threaded through it, and it has a hinge on the back. And these hinge onto your press. And your screen fits in there, tights down, and this tilts backwards and forth. The only modification I did here is we'll put this piece of metal on here and bolt a weight to it. That way it will hold your screen up when you're not using it. You'll see that in the plans. But if you buy the Jiffy clamps, they do come this way. Please get the ones that are C-channel. You got to have something on the back side to bolt this to. If they come welded, just drill holes in there and bolt this to it. If they don't, then take out the bolts and bolt it to it. This has got a bolt to the back. And you can pick these up in a set for about $20. Next thing you'll need is a 2½ pound weight. This is a simple weight I got at Walmart in the athletic department, and I drilled a hole about half the distance between the center hole and the edge, and I'll show you why. Okay, step 1, take your base, make sure it's all level and isn't warped or anything, and then you'll take 2 of the 7 1/4 by 17½ inch boards. 2 of those. Stack them on top of each other and bolt, and we're going to bolt those down right there in just a second. But you line them up to the back of your baseboard. Then you take the 2 arms, sideboard to the arms that are 5 3/4 by 7 1/4, and stack them up there. And like I said, they go on the side just like this, because the platen arm fits right in the middle, just like that. So these support the sides of that and take up space. Takes 3-inch screws, or smaller, because you're wanting to screw all the way through this into the baseboard. Now the way I do this is I drill a hole, pre-drill a hole, but I drill a hole through the 2 bottom ones bigger than the top ones in the baseboard. That way you're not actually trying to screw through these, but you're sandwiching these between the top board and the baseboard. Just put the screws along the back side out of the way. countersink them. You don't want them sticking up on the top. Next, you take your platen arm and you draw a center mark down the center of it, so you know the center of this. Then you take your pallet, and on the bottom side you're going to mount the platen arm. Now I drew a box in here and I drew a center line. You'll match the center line of this up to the center line of your platen arm. And if you'll notice right here, I'm going to put about 3 inches of this pallet hanging over the platen arm. That way it will hang over the base about 3 inches, and that's what you want. Use screws to screw this down that will not go through this. Because if you go through this, you'll come to the top, and that's not good. You don't want to do that. So you take the screws, and you just want to use, like I said, line them up. You can pre-drill them if you want to. I would. Everything's got to be centered, just like that. 3-inch overlap right here. This is the bottom side. Now, we want to mount this on the back, just like that. And like I said, you want to mark the center lines, and you should have a center line on your baseboard here. You just want to match them up and screw them down. It's real easy, like I said, when you pre-drill this. You want it perfectly centered all the way down. Just like that. That caps off the back of it. Keeps everything nice and sturdy. Next is, take your jiffy clamps you made. Now I made a line about 1 inch back, maybe 1.25 inches back. And what you want to do is you want to make a line there, and the back of your jiffy clamp should go on that line. And what that does is when you put a screen in there, the edge of your screen should hit right about here on the front of this. It may go over a little bit, but it should hit right about here. And the reason for that is so when you put on a shirt, your neckline will stop there, because that's where you're going to line everything up. And just screw these down, just like that. Now I'll tell you what, if you make these, you can make a bunch of them and even sell them. Now I put these clamps about 9 inches apart, from outside to outside. They're about 9 inches apart, and that should accommodate just about any screen you have. Just want to make sure you get them in the same place. Remember, I mounted this bar here, and what I want to show you why you drill your hole about half the distance in through here is because when you put a bolt through that, and you bolt that onto here, and you put a screen in here, you can turn this and it will give you more and less weight. More and less weight. And that's why you want to put that offset like that. And we're going to use a pair of vice grips to tighten that down. You want to keep it tight. If you want to put a wing nut on there so you can tighten it with your fingers, that's fine. I usually have mine set at a certain place, and it just stays there because it accommodates all my screens. Let's get a screen. Here we got a screen. You just put the screen in there, and you'll know in the tape that I got the center marks on my screens. You find the center mark on top here, which you should have marked. Put that in there. Tighten them down evenly, and there you go. You got you a one-color press. It's that easy. And with using the plywood here and the particle board, you've got a heavy one and a sturdy one.